welcome back to WTF Rc Cars. So I thought, seems though we've got all these batteries, might as well do something interesting with them. So what I've decided to do is discharge each one down to each manufacturer's recommended low voltage, what they class as the minimum safe voltage for the battery, to give them all a fair chance. And then I've put them on a 2 amp balance charge, all apart from the tiny lossy batteries. I've charged them at 1C, or well, just below 0.5 amp. Basically just to see how close these batteries are to the actual manufacturer's spec. So we've got the graphene batteries by Team Orion, high voltage, and they're spec'd at 5800 milliamp. Then we've got some standard voltage Z batteries. They're advertised as 8000 milliamp hour. Now one thing I can tell you between them, we have put these in various different cars and done laps exactly the same. So if you run a Z high voltage, you will generally get the exact same lap time as running a Team Orion high voltage. So I've seen a lot of numbers, or a lot of people saying, the Z batteries don't give you the punch, they don't. A battery is a battery, and as long as that battery can deliver the required milliamp hour that your motor and speed controller is pulling from it, it's the same. The only time you'll get a problem is if a battery has got high internal resistance, in which case the battery will get red hot. Which is quite interesting with these expensive Team Orion batteries. They are the only batteries that I've got, and we've got 4 of them, that get absolutely red hot and swell no matter what car we run them in. We've run them in a 2-wheel drive 10 scale buggy, so rear wheel drive 10 scale, with a 13.5 turn equivalent motor, brushless, and they still get absolutely red hot and swell every time you run them. So we've put them all on a charge, and we'll see how close they get to the advertised milliamp hour. Right, so first up we have the Team Orion high voltage, advertised at 5800 milliamp hour. I mean, they're not bad batteries. They do tend to get hot and swell no matter what you run them in. And one's charged to 5092. And the other to 5133, which is a good bit off what they're advertised as. So let's see how the others did. Right, so next up we've got the standard voltage 8000 milliamp hour Z's. These have been fantastic batteries, and they're advertised as 8000, and they charge to just over 8000. So give or take a bit of heat loss, you're pretty much getting what you're paying for with these, unlike the Team Orion graphenes. But yeah, so these aren't bad. You're actually getting a good deal on them. Right, so next up we've got the little Reaction 2 650 milliamp hour as they're advertised for the Lossy Mini T. We've drained them down to what they class as 0, so it's about 3.3 volt per cell, and we're going to charge these up at just below 1C, so 0.5 amp, and we'll see what these charge up to. Right, so here's the little Reaction 2s, 650 milliamp advertised. One of them charges to 615, which is just under, and one to 654, which is just over the advertised spec. So yeah, they're not a very big battery for 20 odd quid, but they're not bad. Right, now we've got the Gens Ace Bashing. Now we use this in Midnight Pumpkin, 4000 milliamp hour advertised, and again this one's drained down to its advertised stock voltage. Again on this I think it's 3.3 per cell. So we'll put this one up at 2 amp, give it a nice steady charge, and see what we get. Right, so that's the Gens Ace one. Now, one thing I can say about this, you seem to notice power drop off quite rapidly on it. Not too bad, I suppose. 3733. Right, now we've got my rock crawling batteries, the 5000 milliamp hour, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but Yahoo power I think they are. These were 36 quid each. Seem to run absolutely brilliant. They keep the punch all the way through and they last forever. Drain these down to 3.3 voltage. So we'll get these on charge and see what we get from these. Right, so the Yahoo Power 5000s, advertised at 5000 milliamp hour. What do we get? Just over 5000 on both. It's a cracking battery for money. Right, so these are two slightly newer ones that we've got. I think these haven't had many cycles through them. These are the Z8000 milliamp hour high voltage ones. Ones that I tend to use in the /4x4 or both of them together in the EXB. They do seem to have a lot of punch all the way through. Don't seem to really fade, and then they just go flat completely. So let's see what we get out of these ones. Right, so 8000 milliamp hour advertised. They are high voltage batteries. And what do we get? So we get 7.4 and 7.6, and I think they've only had 1 or 2 cycles through them, so they might get a bit better. So conclusion time. Well, for 68 quid a battery, the Team Orions they don't exactly shine. They're not a bad battery, they just seem to run hot and swell no matter what we run them in. And to say these are meant to be competition spec batteries where you can run down to like below 5-turn motors, or the equivalent brushless, they just seem to get red hot and swell no matter what we put them in. They're also by far the most expensive batteries we've got, and we've got 4 of these, so it's not just a one-off. They're all in the ballpark same. They don't hold, or should I say they are the furthest percentage away from advertised to what they actually hold of any battery we've got. We don't notice any sort of huge drop off in power in them or anything like that, so they're quite good for that reason. But yeah, to say the price that they are and the way they're advertised, they're certainly not the special battery that the price would suggest. The next up we've got the Z high voltage. Now these haven't had many cycles from, I think probably 1 or 2 at most, so these may increase capacity. They tend to do that with lipos, up to about 5 to 10 charges it usually peaks. But yeah, they're drastically cheaper, they are a lot higher milliamp hour than the Team Orions, and they're also high voltage the same. Now they are advertised as 8000, and neither one of them charged quite to 8000, but percentage wise they were a lot closer to what they're advertised as than the Team Orions. Next we have the Z8000 milliamp hour standard voltage. Now these both charge up, they've had probably 5 or 6 cycles through these, so these are well on the way to what the capacity should be, and these both charge up to just above the stated capacity. Again, no noticeable power drop off or anything, and we get good lap times compared to rest of batteries. The lossy reaction 2. Now there are better batteries you can buy if you've got a Mini T for about half the price for higher capacity. That said, they're advertised as 650, one of them charges 615, one to 654. They're not a bad battery, they're just not an amazing deal for price. The dirt cheap Yahoo Power, I think that's how you pronounce it, advertised as 5000 milliamp hour. Now I've used these in the rock crawler mainly, but I have used them in the /4x4 to run it on 3S. and I've also run them in the EXB to run it on 3S, and no noticeable power drop off in them, and again both charged to just over the stated milliamp hour. Never had these get hot, never had them swell or puff up. Cracking battery for the price. You've just got to remember they're a soft case battery, so if you are going to run them, it's not so bad in the slash because they're held in and they're quite enclosed, but in the EXB they're quite open, so you might want to wrap something around them if you want to run soft case in that kind of car. Next up we have the Gens Ace bashing, and to be honest it's not an expensive battery, but advertised as 4000 milliamp hour. It only charges to 3733, which is not drastically off. It's closer percentage than what the Team Orions were, but one thing I can say about this one, you do notice after maybe only 1 or 2 minutes it does drop in punch, and it does have a weird sort of, it tends to set the lipo alarm off quite a lot once it gets about halfway down. Not sure if it's just been unlucky and it's got one iffy cell, but when we do test it on the battery tester afterwards and on this charger, it's not showing one cell drained more than other, so maybe the Gens Ace battery range are maybe just a cheaper one of their sort of range. But yeah, the other thing is this charger will actually check the internal voltage, internal battery resistance. And surprisingly enough, the Team Orions, even though they're advertised as low resistance, have the highest resistance of any of my batteries. So, yeah, I don't think we'll be buying any more of them. But interesting insight into the way different manufacturers advertise these batteries and what you're actually getting for your money. Bit of a strange situation where it does seem the more you pay, the worse battery you get for your money. But maybe it's just our luck, maybe that's how it is. But thanks again for watching WTF Rc Cars. Hope to see you again soon.